right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tristan. Today I'm back with another video here. Flyers lose, unfortunately, their last game of 2023, 4-3 to the Calgary Flames. When you kind of look at this one, and I think the one thing for me that I looked at was in the beginning, kind of looking at just the schedule alone. You know, you have Calgary who comes in. This is their third game, and I believe it was 10 or 11 days. They haven't played since December 27th. Flyers are on a back-to-back. This was game 3 of 4 in 6 nights. This is 3 and 4, you know, the whole stretch. And this is, again, like I said, I mentioned it last game, the third Western swing that they've had, and they've really been all over the world, essentially, and the country, and, you know, this stretch of games. So it's unfortunate, essentially, because of, you know, how the schedule's gone and everything like that. I didn't think this was a great game for the Flyers. I didn't think it was terrible, though. Lines in this one: Tippett, Couturier, Konechny, Forrester, Frost, Atkinson, Farabee, Paling, and Brink, Delorier, Lawton, Hathaway, York, Sanheim, Sealer, Walker, Zamula, and Risto. And then Sam Ersson was in net for Hart, who obviously played the last game. I thought he was good in Seattle. He gets the night off in this one. So first period, the Flyers had the lead. I thought they had a good first 10 minutes, and not so good second 10 minutes. I thought it was more Flames after the goal. Sharon Govich, or, you know, Ersson was great in really in most of the game, and the only way you could really beat him was those high shots. I thought there were some where it looked a little deep in his net, but then I looked back on it and he wasn't. So that was the one thing that, you know, you kind of have to look back on there too. And, you know, I think for Ersson, who, look, I'm not even trying to really, you know, complain about Ersson, because he's been good. I mean, he's come in, he's basically been a rock. I mean, it's one of the things that you want to see, I think, with this team, because with so many goalie prospects on the way and so many other guys, like, you know that, you know, some of these other guys are going to hit and some just might not. That might just be how it goes, right? But, you know, at the same time, you know, it is good to see that guys can play well. And, you know, the Flyers clearly believe in him, and Torts clearly believes in him, and they've been able to use him, and he's played well. And, you know, unfortunately, there were, you know, a couple tough ones tonight that get by him. And it wasn't even that he played bad. It was just kind of how the game went, because the Flyers, I didn't think, really pressured a ton offensively in the last 40 minutes. And that's kind of what it's been, you know, in the last couple of games. Like, they've had some good moments where they've pressured. They've had, you know, good stretches of play, like the first period, like I'm talking about here, where Ersson had a really nice glove save on the slot. They had a good shift from the Farabee line before that. Sanheim had a breakaway. He gets stopped, and then the Flyers get a power play. They had a couple looks. They didn't really get anything crazy on net. Ristolainen would get the open goal for this one for the Flyers. It's 3 games in a row they scored first, which is good to see, because they've been able to do that. Really nice pass from Paling, who's played well in the past couple of games. He's definitely earned the ice time. He's earned the bump in the lineup. He's earned essentially everything. And unfortunately, you know, for the Flyers, they have this lead and ends up kind of fizzling away as we get through the game here. But I wrote down in my notes that the Flyers were playing well. They're creating a lot offensively, which they were. And then as soon as I wrote that, the Flames had their stretch of play where they just kind of dominated, and they had multiple chances. If it wasn't for Ersson, it would have been 1-1, maybe 2-1 at the end of the first period. But we go into the second period. Frost had a chance in tight off of a turnover that was a gift. I thought Frost was horrific tonight. Wasn't noticeable. I mean, I haven't liked Atkinson at all, honestly, for most of the season. He's kind of just been playing, I guess is the best way to put it. It's been frustrating, I think, for the, you know, story of Atkinson, because everybody was so pumped for him and Couturier to come back, right? And I think him and Couturier had really good starts to the year. Coots is effective. Like, Coots, I mean, he still plays first minute. He plays power play. He plays penalty kill. He gets 20-something minutes a night. Like, he generates a ton of offense playing with Konechny, Forrester, whoever, Tippett. Atkinson, just like he hasn't scored since November 11th. I mean, we're going to go into the new year, and he still hasn't scored since then. And it's frustrating, because he's a guy that, you know, who's obviously coming off of the injury and everything else, but he's a guy who makes a good chunk of money. He's a big part of your payroll and everything else. He's an important player. I mean, he's a guy that on a roster you look at to give you 20-something goals. And, you know, I mean, some of them this year were a little lucky. And again, like I said, he hasn't scored since the 11th. So, like, it's concerning, I think, up until this point, because he is a guy that you not want to bank on for offense, but I think you definitely need more from him than what he's certainly giving. Um, and again, I don't think Cam is a bad player or a bad person or anything like that. It's just I don't think he's been playing well, and that's been the one thing that's been frustrating, I think, with that. Zamula gets leveled here. Flyers get a power play. Terrible. I mean, they didn't do anything in the first 40 seconds, and then Zamula had to take a penalty because there was a holding where he lost his stick. Because if not, Coleman would have had a breakaway and buzzed right by him. I thought it was a solid period up until this point. It's back and forth. Frost created the chance in front of a really nice forecheck. It was, his best play of the game, and it was good to see him at least wake up a little bit. 1-1. Backlund would tie this game. Hebden in the zone. That's happened a ton recently, where it's the fourth line or third line, even the first line at times. I mean, there's been a shift at least each line, I think, in these past two games that's been hemmed in the zone. Balin kind of left the zone early, and Backlund was wide open. Made no mistake with that one. 1-1. We go into the third period. I thought it was back and forth again. I thought it was a good period up until that point. I mean, Gilbert, he gets his first in 37 games, I believe it was. Not ideal, obviously. I mean, it's a all five guys one side of the ice, and no one picks up the trailer. It's a preventable goal, unfortunately, and 2-1. Urson gets a penalty for taking his helmet off. That was interesting, I thought, because Urson, the power play goal that happened against Tom Wilson's power play goal in the game against the Capitals back on the 14th, there was a penalty or a non-penalty that ended up coming out of that, and there was a penalty on the play, or they might have scored. I can't remember exactly what happened, but the Caps scored. It doesn't matter at this point, but the Caps had scored, and Urson didn't take the mask off, right? And the argument was like, he should have done it, but if not, you get to delay a game. I don't know why that's a delay. I really don't understand why that's a penalty. Would you rather? I mean, if you lose your helmet, you have to go off the ice. So that's not really delaying the game. The goaltender can't just leave the ice. So why is it that if the goalie takes his mask off, that's a penalty, but if a player does it, he has to just leave the ice? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And even in the same token, why would you want a goaltender to play with a loose mask and get hurt? Like, that doesn't really make any sense to me. So anyway, they call the penalty. Then the Flyers get one because Tippett rolled a trip. Kadri would score on a 2-on-1 rush the other way. Risto went in on the faceoff. No one got back. He scores. Brink would get one, make it 3-2, and then Konechny, really nice play on that one. He got it on net. Brink slam dunk in front. Failed clear from Tippett. Empty net goal makes it 4-2, and then Zamula would get one. That was his second goal in 3 games for Zamula. Really nice play there from Konechny to set that one up. So yeah, I mean, look, it's frustrating, but I think with how the schedule has gone, the way that the team has played, everything that's kind of gone together with that, like, it's been a couple of tough, trips and games this month, but to finish out this month for the Flyers, who, again, like I said, I mean, as of right now, 19, 12, and 5, 43 points, 36 games played. They're third in the Metropolitan, tied with the Islanders, who also have 43 points as well. And, again, they have lost 2 straight here, but, you get a day off, you go into Edmonton, and then you're back home for 4. You got Columbus, Calgary again at home. You got Pittsburgh, who you played well against this year, in Montreal for the first time this season. So, like, it should be interesting to see how these next couple of games go. As for the entire month of December, obviously the Flyers had a really good end of 2023. The second half of last season wasn't great, but when you look at this month, I mean, there's only really a couple losses that really stand out. I mean, there's only 2 regulation losses, Nashville and Calgary. I mean, getting points in a ton of games. You come out of the break, you get the win in Vancouver, you get a point against Seattle, and tonight was just kind of like one of those scheduled losses. So, I mean, a really good month of December. With what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins, and 1, 2. Yeah, they were 8, 2, and 2. Yeah. 8, 2, and 2 in the month of December. I mean, that's a good month for the team. I know I apologize for doing the math on camera here, but I mean, that's a good month. I mean, to have against and some of the really good teams in this month. I mean, Colorado, Arizona, they've been, a better team, and Flyers aren't really good against Arizona. Pittsburgh, the home and home, that was tough. Obviously, Jersey. And then this trip, like I mentioned, I mean, coming out of the break, this isn't an easy trip. So for this team to kind of do that and, have a really solid month and kind of go into the next, almost the second half of the season, it's good. It's good to see. So thanks everybody again for all the support. As always, make sure to check out Maher Media and all the stuff that we do over on the brand for all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, obviously here on YouTube. I can obviously the website. I mean, there's so much stuff, and we also have PHI Heritage, which is launching tonight. As I'm recording this, is literally an hour away. 2023 was a fun year. I mean, from the growth of the brand, myself, I think the channel, I think everybody has enjoyed the content, and Flyers have certainly played better. So it'll be interesting to see how 2024 goes. Thanks everybody again for all the support this year, and obviously tonight. And yeah, my name is Chris, and I will talk to you all again soon. See you guys.